Uh, Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope you all are well. Welcome to the first earnings conference call of the Sandur Manganese and Iron Ores Limited, discussing the Q4 and FY21 performance and the strategies of the company, hosted by the Investment Lab and Christensen Advisory. Today, we have with us from the management team Mr. Bahirji Godpade, Managing Director, Mr. Abdul Salim, Director of Mines, Mr. Sachin Sanu, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Bijan Kumar Dash, Company Secretary and Compliance Officer. The investor presentation for Q4 has already been uploaded on the stock exchange and it has already been emailed to you. In case someone does not have a copy, please do write to us and we'll be happy to send it over to you. Uh, Before we begin this call, I would like to state and remind you all that everything said on this call that reflects any outlook for the future, which can be construed as a forward-looking statement, must be viewed in conjunction with the risks and uncertainties that we face. These risks and uncertainties have been mentioned in our annual report. With that said, I would like to hand over the call to Mr. Bahirji Gorpade for a brief overview about the history of the company. Post that, we can open the floor for question and answer. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the first investor conference call of the Sandur Manganese and Iron Ores Limited. Since it is our first call, I would like to give you a brief about the company before we get into discussion of recent performance and open the floor for questions. Sandur is a historical place in Ballari district of Karnataka state, known for its sylvan beauty, endowed with mineral wealth. As a company, Sandur was incorporated in 1954, but our history dates back much before it. Manganese ore was discovered in the hills of Sandur as early as 1838, and operations in the current mining lease area dated back to 1907. The idea of incorporating Sandur was sown by my great-grandfather, His Highness Yashwantrao Hindurao Ghorpade, so that these mines could be operated in a systematic and scientific manner and be professionally managed. Later in 1966, we got listed on BSE with the objective of setting up an electrometallurgical unit, which soon became one of the finest metallurgical plants in the country. We have had our fair share of ups and downs, including temporary unviability and closure of ferroalloy operations, or being wrongfully implicated in the mining scam of 2011, but we have only emerged stronger from these adversities. At present, Sandur has three key business segments. The first and foremost is mining. We are presently operating to the tune of 0.28 MTPA for manganese ore and 1.6 million tons per annum for iron ore. Our second business segment is ferroalloys, where we currently have a capacity of 48,000 tons per annum of silicomanganese. Lastly, we have recently, in January 2021, commissioned a coke oven plant with 4 batteries and a cumulative capacity of 0.4 MTPA. Coupled with this are 2 waste heat recovery boilers with a cumulative capacity of 30 megawatts power generation. Now, I would like to talk about the capex plans of the company. As you all must have read through our exchange filings, we recently commissioned phase 1 of our long-term capex plan on 18 January 2021. Before I get into the details of this, let me back up a little and explain to you the thought process behind this entire transformation of the company. We have always been looking for value addition to the ores that we mine. We have set up the ferroalloy plant in 1968. We had signed the MOU with the government of Karnataka for setting up power plant, steel plant, etc. During 2008, but due to various reasons beyond our control, that is investigations into illegal mining in the region, we could not proceed with them except for setting up a 32 megawatt thermal power plant in 2010. Sustainability of the company's business model, we decided to be completely integrated over the entire value chain. As a merchant miner, Sandur decided to forward integrate into steel making with an envisaged capacity of 1 million tons per annum. To set up a completely integrated steel plant, first the company decided to be backward integrated for two of the most important inputs in the value chain, that is iron ore, which we already had and are planning to expand, and coke, which was set up in the first phase of our capex plan. Coke on a standalone basis isn't the most profitable of business and may not be considered as a wise capital allocation decision given its abundant availability. However, for us, coke was set up for attaining two objectives: being backward integrated for steel and turning around the ferroalloy operations, which have been a drag on our financial performance up till FY20. As you must know, ferroalloys are very power intensive operations, and we were generating power through a 32 megawatt coal based power plant. But our cost of generation was not viable. Hence, we witnessed many years of marginal profitability and losses in this business segment. Now, coming back to the coke facility, coke releases a lot of energy. Coupled with the waste heat recovery boilers, we can convert this energy into electricity at marginal additional cost, which becomes a very valuable byproduct. Hence, we decided to set up a 0.4 MTPA coke oven plant along with 30 megawatt of power generated through waste heat recovery boilers. With sustainable and more importantly feasible power generation, we can be cost competitive and profitable in our existing ferroalloy operations. This entire exercise began in March 2018 and has already been completed, and the company will reap its benefits in FY22 and beyond. Moving ahead, we would be soon announcing phase 2 of our capex plan on our journey to become an integrated steel player. With that said, now I would like to open the floor for questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. So participants who wish to ask a question may do so by using the raise hands button, which is given at the bottom of your screen. Just a few instructions. Before you ask a question, I would request you to state your full name and the organization. Apart from that, I would request everyone to limit to 2 questions per chance. If time permits, we will definitely come back to you. But since it's the first call, we want everyone to get a chance. So our first call would be from the line of Mr. Ayush Agarwal. You're unmuted, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on a good set of numbers despite a challenging year. I'm Ayush Agarwal from Mittal Analytics. I have 2 questions. First is on our iron ore EC approval. The company has been trying to get the EC for quite some time now. So if you could help us understand the journey and the major roadblocks that we hit. So first is that, and another part of the question is, what are the key risks for getting this EC? And if you can tell us about where we stand today and what is the expected timeline to receive these.
I would like to tell that we have progressed to a large extent now and are in the final stages of getting the EC approval. And yes, it has taken about, I think, 10 years time. But there were blocks that we faced, starting with the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court's mining suspension because of investigations into the mining activities that had taken place earlier. But now presently we have moved ahead, and we are looking at a timeline of by end of this calendar year we should get the EC enhancement.
That's really good to know. Just to follow up on this question, once we have the EC, what is the time frame that we are looking at to expand the capacity to say 2.5 or 3 million tons from here, and what would be the capex needed?
See, that will not take much time for us to expand the capacity, because we have a asset light model, and we use some of the contractors for earth moving equipment, and we have the setup available. But then we envisage some challenges because of the grades that may come out after we start mining at an expanded capacity, and we expect lower grades of production. So we are looking when we are planning the capex for the next phase, where we are looking for some kind of beneficiation facility and value addition, maybe in terms of producing pellets or some value added products that will help us keep our long-term perspective and viability in mind.
So we already have plans in place for that.
Yes.
All right.
We'll move to the next question. I would request you to join back the queue.
All right.
Thank you. We will take our next question from the line of Mr. Shubham Agarwal. Your line is unmuted, sir.
Yeah, hi, Sandur's team. I'm Shubham Agarwal from Equitas Investments. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the entire team for commissioning the first phase of the project, the larger project. And I would also like to appreciate the efforts that have been put in making the presentation. Sir, my first question is related to the ferroalloy business. Given that basis the 44 MVA, the total tonnage comes to around 78,000, but we are operating at 48,000 right now. So I would like to know the key reasons why, and given that current realization are all-time high, can we expect increase in utilization of our plant currently?
Yeah, currently, as you are aware, I think we have 3 furnaces, out of which we are operating 2 furnaces. Because the power generated from the waste heat recovery boilers is sufficient to run the 2 furnaces at about 90-95% of the capacity. So we are working going forward on trying to source power through various different sources, so that we can meet the requirement of generating producing 70,000 plus of ferroalloys. So we are working on that, but current capacity we are trying to ramp up and meet the 100% requirement. Yes, I know the prices are at its peak. That's where we are trying to get additional power to run these 2 furnaces at full capacity.
Okay, so what are the key challenges and any timeline, internal timeline that you have set to completely ramp up all the furnaces?
See, the internal timeline is challenging, but maybe it may take another year is what we are looking at. Got
it. And what would be our current capacity utilization of coke oven, given the prices there have also risen sharply in last 2 months?
Coke oven capacity utilization is 100%, or sometimes a bit more than 100%, I can say.
Okay, great. Yeah. And lastly, on the bigger capex of 1 million ton, So you said that you will be soon announcing, but is there any update on that? Like when we can expect a formal announcement about the timeline and total investment?
See, during this calendar year itself, we will try to make the announcement. But see, as you are aware, we have the two most important raw materials required, that is iron ore and coke, with us now. But these are general raw materials. But while planning a steel capacity, we what we are looking at is first deciding on the end product and then working back and arriving at the type of project that we should put, because the product that we decide to produce should do well in the market, and we should identify the market space that we will enter. So we are working currently on that, and I think India will be able to give a complete update on it.
Fair enough. That's it from my side.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next question we'll take from the line of Mr. Abhay Lodha. You can unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah,
yes,
perfectly.
Sir, the company is planning to increase this ferroalloy capacity from 48,000 per ton to 72,000, as mentioned in the presentation. I wanted to know what will be the cost of this expansion, sir? Estimated cost?
See, currently we have the facility to expand up to 70,000. The required inputs, that is the main two inputs, is power and the raw material of manganese ore. That is what is required. So manganese ore also can be sourced, but we are working on various sourcing of various power options based on which we will be able to ramp up. So we look to increase it to 100%, but it will take some time.
I wanted to know estimated cost on expanding this furnace capacity to 72,000. What cost? Yes. What cost we have to incur for expanding it?
See, the cost of expansion will be say about maybe about 15-16 crores for refurbishment of the furnace, one furnace that is idle, and apart from that, it will be the power sourcing cost. So that will vary. That will depend upon the model that we choose, whether we would like to set up our own unit or would we like to source from a different source. So that at this point of time will be difficult to tell, because we are working out on that.
But 30 megawatt waste heat recovery will not be sufficient for this project, sir?
No, that is not sufficient, because the entire output is being used for the present two furnace operations.
But sir, we had a 32 megawatt thermal power.
Yes, we had that. We have disconnected that, but the turbine and generator which was available in that unit has been connected to the waste heat recovery boilers. So we cannot use that.
Okay, you use that machinery to the waste heat recovery.
Yes. So that's where we optimized on the previous capex.
Second thing, sir, I just wanted to know iron ore prices. Regarding iron ore prices, sir. In your presentation, average iron prices, our prices is 2319 per metric ton, sir.
Yes.
But presently, iron ore prices are ruling very high. Can you tell us at what rates we are selling right now in iron ore?
See, if you look at last year, the first 2 quarters, the prices were very low, and the price started recovering in the third quarter, and fourth quarter we obtained the best prices, and the prices ever since have been rising. So that's how, looking at the average, the last year's average is coming on the lower side because of the first 2 quarters during the pandemic, when the initial first lockdown and all that was there, the prices were really low.
What is the current
realization? So we'll move on to the next participant. I would request you to join back in the queue. We'll take our next question from the line of Mr. Abhishek Maheshwari. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Mr. Maheshwari, you're still muted.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations on such good performance. Sir, my first question is regarding current silicomanganese realizations, are we over 90,000 still, or are we starting to see it coming down a little?
No, the price has sustained over the last 1.5 months. So current realizations are around the similar number.
Okay. Sir, and secondly, I wanted to understand the dynamics of coke. So in your introduction, you said that coke can sometimes be an unviable product. But as I understand it, it's still an import substitute in India, right? We import a lot of metallurgical coke, steel companies. So we will not face a situation anytime in future where we will not be able to sell our product, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the last 10 or 15 years of merchant coke operations, there has been lot of ups and downs, and we are heavily dependent on the import of coking coal. Yes, the last 1 year has been really good. I can say last year from August, September, the market started recovering. So that has been good. But then there is a lot of fluctuation in the market where the uh, coal prices also vary and the coke prices also vary. But yes, as you said, there is import substitution, and we have been able to cater to many of the end users, the steel consumers. So that's how we have been able to get a fair market share in the region and also different regions in the country. And we have been able to expand our footprint.
Okay, sir. Sir, and my last question is, so we are also setting up a second coke unit, right? 0.4 MTPA. And so when can we expect that to commission, and where are we sourcing our coking coal from?
No,
That's it.
we are not setting up another coke oven. See, this zero point 0.4 MTPA coke oven capacity is the entire requirement for a 1 million ton integrated steel plant. Yeah,
And yeah,
and answering your second question, where are we sourcing our coal from? We source it mostly from imported sources from Australia, Canada, and other countries, Indonesia.
okay, sir. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you.
I would request participants to not ask the questions in the chat box and actually raise your hands to ask the questions yourselves. We'll take the next question, and also please state your organization name before asking the question. We'll take the next question from the line of Mr. Rahul Jain. Your line is unmuted, sir.
Yeah, hi sir. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. Sir, I have one question on your reserves. So, what is the mine life of the assets we have, and when do they, because there is this option regime also is there. So, do you see any potential to increase your reserves?
Currently, we have established reserves of 110 million tons of iron ore and 14 million tons of manganese ore. And our mining lease is valid till 2033. So based on our current expansion of environmental clearance, we will be operating at plus 3.5 million tons of iron ore production. And currently we operate at 0.28 million tons of manganese ore production per annum. And there is scope for that also to go up. So it will be ascertained in due course.
Right. So, sir, currently our sale mechanism is through the monitoring committee, and is it that we get prices are set on auction basis? Is that correct?
Yes. Entire sales is through the e-auction system.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll move to Mr. Kamal Gupta. Sir, your line is unmuted.
If we export iron ore to China, we can get a much better price. So why are we selling it only in Karnataka? Why don't we think of exporting to China, where we understand the prices have gone up to rupees 15,000 per ton?
As of now, there is a sort of a ban to export iron ore from Karnataka. So we don't have scope to do that. And also that there is enough domestic demand for the ores.
But the prices declared by NMDC are nearly 7,000 rupees per ton. Are we getting the similar price?
Yeah, partially we get the similar price because the specifications of our ore is different in terms of grades. They produce higher grade of ore, and partially we also get similar grades. For what similar grades we get similar realizations. But for the lower grades that we produce, our realizations are lower.
Thank you. Congratulations on very good result.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to Mr. Ramesh Kumar Jain. Sir, please state your organization and then ask your question.
Yes, sir. I am Ramesh Jain, Chartered Accountant here from Bangalore. At the outset, I congratulate Sandur team for the excellent result and starting investors conference to ask the questions. Sir, there were newspaper advertisements sometimes back, some 3-4 months back, that there is some price cap on the iron ore produced in the Karnataka. So whether this thing there is a on the iron ore company is producing, this is the first question, sir.
So there is no price cap. It is regulated by the monitoring committee, and the sales happens through the e-auction.
Yes, sir. Then second question is, as the company is having very higher reserves, and it's very difficult for investors to buy the Sandur Manganese shares from the open market at 2,000 rupees. So whether the company is having any plan to declare bonus and the split in this thing, so that general common investors can also benefit from the Sandur Manganese, good results and all.
See, we would like to keep all our shareholders happy. In due course, we will see what we will consider, and based on that, we will see and announce.
Yeah, dividend policy also, there is a hardly 10 rupees dividend, whereas company is earning 160 rupees or 170 rupees per share. So I feel at least 15 to 20% of the PAT should be declared as dividend, and there should be some amount to be transferred to dividend equalization fund. So every year there should be some nominal means there should be equalizations of the dividend declared by the company, because dividend is very lower side.
See, with regard to the dividend, we have this time announced the highest dividend in the history, which is 100%. And also, as we said that we have the plans for expanding and having the next capex. And to strengthen the company, we need to do that. So in the next few years, we are looking at strengthening our organization for long-term sustainability.
I understand that company is doing very good work for the social welfare, and they are doing a lot of efforts to maximize the labor's lifestyle. Same time, I request company to just have the shareholders in mind. They are also one of the part of the company. So I feel I request management to declare liberal bonus and dividend. So be happy. Just on comment on your side, sir.
Yeah. We want to keep all our stakeholders, including shareholders, happy. So in due course, we will do our best. Already we are thinking on those lines. That's how we have introduced the conference call. We have given the presentation so that the shareholders get complete, clear information about what the company is thinking.
Thank you. We'll take our next question from the line of Mr. Amit Gupta. Sir, your line is unmuted. Mr. Gupta? Okay, we'll move to Mr. Ayush Mittal. Sir, your line is unmuted.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. First of all, congratulations, Team Sandur, for a good performance in Q4. So there are a couple of questions that I have. First, as we understand that this coke oven waste heat recovery plan expansion that we had done over the last couple of years, it was a major unlock the power saving and grow the business. Can you help us share the breakup as to what kind of margins are you making on the coke side, and what kind of savings are we getting on the waste heat recovery plant, which might be a more sustainable profitability for us? And more on the coke side, like what are the expectations going forward?
As I mentioned earlier, there has been a lot of volatility in the coal prices that we obtain. if you look at it, last year, June, July, the coal prices were trading around 255. Sorry, the coke prices were trading around 255 to $260, and the coal prices were around $180. The coal prices subsequently went down and we used to get coal at around 120 $130, and now again there has been a cycle and the coal prices are plus $200. So there is a lot of volatility. We cannot really ascertain the fixed margins. But then yes, looking at the recent time, the coke plant has done really well, and we have also ensured that we utilize the 100% capacity and also plan our raw material in such a way that we have the required raw material at optimized costs for the next 3 months, 6 months. So that's how we are managing, and we are getting good margins.
Any quantification that we can get on the savings on the waste heat recovery that we would be recognized in this quarter?
Yes, quantification. See, again, it is like we are generating power at a very nominal cost in terms of waste heat recovery, because all the cost is being taken by the coke. So that's how there is a huge saving in the power cost. Unlike when we used to produce power through the thermal power plant, the cost used to be very high, and mainly the fuel cost used to be high, the cost of generation through the thermal coal. But now the complete waste heat is being used. So the cost is nominal.
Okay. So second question which I have is that historically, when we look at your mining segment, we see that the profit margins have been very healthy for us. We do at least 40-45% margins even when the iron ore prices were subdued earlier. Now that the prices have risen very sharply, in this quarter, because of which the margins look a bit lower than what we could have done. Any thoughts or insights on that? Also, why is it that our cost of operations are very low, because of which we to do these margins and we can sustain on it?
See, our cost of operations are very, I can say, standardized on par with the best mining companies, or maybe better sometimes. So, but if you look at the whole of last year, the first half of the year was not that great because of the pandemic and various issues that were being faced by the industry. But subsequently, Q3 and Q4 have been good, and prices have risen, and the present beginning of this financial year is also good.
Okay. If I may slip in a last question, it's great to see that the company is now investing money and is on a growth path. And given the cash flows we generate, I'm sure we can do much more. Can you share something about what your vision is for the company? What do you want to do over longer term and create value, or what kind of other projects we may take up apart from the steel projects over longer term to unlock more value for the company?
It's first thing to strengthen our core businesses. As we expand our capacity of ore production of ores, we would like to ensure that we get the best value out of it, and that fits integration for our integration, or in the value chain. It will be the next thing which will be added in the plant. And we are looking towards forward integration, where we are looking at producing the right products for the market, where we will do well in terms of margins and long-term sustainability. Yes, we are also looking for various diversified opportunities, but firstly we would like to strengthen our core and then look at other options.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Ashok Kumar. So please state your organization and go ahead.
Hello, I'm audible?
Yeah, yes. Perfect.
Yeah, congratulations, a good set of numbers, and just initiating the presentation and the con call. Just wanted to know the current realization of the iron ore.
Realization in average terms will be about plus 3,000.
Okay. Currently, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Yachna Bhatia. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Congratulations on a good set of numbers. I just had a follow-on from a previous participant, regarding the iron ore approval, which we're expecting by end of this calendar year. Can you elaborate on the CapEx plans around this? How much cost is, how much capital will be required for this, and by when do you expect this to be operational? And second, once this CapEx is done, do you expect the realizations that you get for this iron ore to be in line with what you're currently getting, or you expect a premium because the quality improves? Just wanted to understand that.
Enhancing the capacity will not take much time for us to ramp up. But then, based on our estimation and looking at the grade that will come out, we expect a drop in the quality of the ore. So that's where the capex we are planning, where we would like to add some value addition and facilities to improve the quality of the ore, so that we ensure that we completely use our production capacity. At the same time, we also add value and produce products which will do well in the market.
Sure. So how much would the capex amount be?
See, that is at this point of time difficult to tell, but then we are working on it, and soon in due course that we will announce that.
Okay.
But then that will not be that we will work on it, but it will not be a very major thing like the plant. Plant will be a different thing. It can't be on par with the plant.
Any ballpark numbers you give? Is it around 150, 200 crores? Is it significantly off?
You can assume similar numbers, but it will be plus or minus. So we cannot really conclude at this stage. So I'm not giving you a number.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Sahil Sanghvi. Please state your organization and go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Sahil Sanghvi, and I'm a research analyst from Monarch Network Capital. First of all, congratulations to the whole team for an excellent execution and the financial results. I have two questions. The first question is, could you please tell me the offtake of coke in tons for FY21?
Offtake of coke?
The dispatches, basically.
See, the offtake of the coke has been about 45,000 tons. But then we operate in different ways. One is direct sales, and we also work on job work basis. So you can take it as about 1 lakh tons, because we declared commercial production in January. So it is only for 1 quarter, less than a quarter, 2.5 months.
Okay, so the revenue split that has been given in the financial result, which is about 110 crores or so, that is on the basis of 1 lakh tons, or is it on the basis of 50,000 tons?
That is on the basis of 50,000 tons, but the other income which will include this job work revenue.
Okay. Just a follow-up question on that. I mean, currently, what kind of offtake are we looking at? Because I understand 50% is what we are selling to a pig iron producer in South. But the other, which is in the open market, how are we placed over there? Are we 50% over there, 60% over there?
We are looking at selling everything, and that is happening.
Okay.
Yeah, about 45% we are doing the job work, and balance everything whatever we are producing is being sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my last question would be regarding your phase 2 of CapEx. So, sir, I understand what is the vision that you have for the company and what you aim for the company, and utilizing your iron ore and coke is the best way to utilize your capital. But considering your balance sheet size, sir, the plan of a steel plant, which is about 0.5 to 1 million ton, would definitely incur about 2,000 to 3,000 rupees of capex, and plus you have maybe the iron ore beneficiation plant or the power plants that you want to put up. So I'm just trying to understand what kind of capital structure would you be following? Would it be debt or equity? And when would this come up? Starting FY23?
See, we have already initiated work on it, and the announcement will happen soon. But it will happen in a phased manner. But as I said earlier, we would like to strengthen our core first. So we would like to ensure our current operations should be viable, and we should get the best value in the long term. So we would like to do that. And then we will divide the capex in phases, and it will be a mix of both debt and equity.
Okay, okay. Just one last follow-up question, sir. Any guidance on the FY23 capex number? FY22 would be nothing, right, sir? Only maintenance, right?
Maybe end of FY22 there may be some capex, but as of now we are not in a position to give the numbers.
Okay.
But in due course we will make the announcement.
Sure. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Mayur Shah. Please state your organization and go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mayur Shah. I'm part of Anand Rathi Portfolio Management team. Sir, I would just like to ask, I think most of the questions are already answered. One, like any plan to list on NSE?
Yeah, we are considering that. In due course we will.
Right. And another question I would like to have, what is the peak debt level that you are looking at, considering maybe in phase 2 also if you go, what kind of debt level you are looking at to go on a higher side, max?
We are looking at maybe maximum 50% debt, 50% 1:1, but that will again depend. But we will keep a safe number, because earlier years we have remained debt free. Now we have some debt, but we will plan it so that it is not too much of a burden on the financials, but it is just right.
Okay, one last question. Can you help me out? Any specific reason for this pledge share, or is just for the capex that you have done already, the pledge that you have kept?
See, that was done previously, but then we are now with the strength of the balance sheet and also our performance, we are looking to get that released soon. Hopefully that should happen.
Fine. Thanks a lot.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Rajesh Agarwal. Your line is unmuted. Please state your organization and go ahead.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my question is on the new royalty, which NMDC said, which was passed on 28 March MMDR Act. So our mines are eligible for the higher royalty, which is 22.5% over and above the old royalty for iron ore.
I request Salim to answer this question.
See, this amendment to the royalty will not be applicable for us. Basically, that provision is applicable for the public sector undertakings who opt for renewal of mining leases without going through the auction route.
Okay.
After the MMDR Act has been amended, now all the mining leases on the expiry of their present validity have to go through the auction. So the royalty and all those things will be determined through the auction itself. Only for PSUs this option has been made available.
So for no private it is applicable?
No, it will not be applicable for private.
Thank you.
We'll move to Mr. Ayush Agarwal. Please state your organization and go ahead.
So thank you for the follow-up opportunity. This is Ayush again from Mittal Analytics. So I have one question on the conversion contract that we have in place. Like you mentioned that around 45% is being taken by that partner that we have. So
yes,
in a scenario that the partner is not able to fulfill the contract, what plans do we have in place to sell that quantity? Because if we don't, then the heat won't be generated, and ferroalloy might have to go for higher power cost, or may not be able to produce. Yeah.
See, as of now there is adequate demand, but then in the interest of having safety and also having a long-term perspective, we did that. We are in a position in case there is any issue, but there is enough market demand that is there. But then generating, as you said, generating heat and getting the power for the ferroalloys is the most important thing for us. So we, in the interest of ensuring that, we have done it.
Right. If our understanding is correct, the partner is probably expanding, in the coke oven capacity. So, and that may happen in a year or two time. So, what are our plans to, outside this additional capacity that we have vacant when the partner has its own capacity?
See, we are working on it, and there is enough market demand, and there are many other industries which require coke. So we have that understanding. At the same time, we are working on the expansion plan where we would look to set up something where we consume partial capacity at least, so that to that extent we have some captive consumption, and the balance we sell it in the market.
Right. Just one quick question on previous participants' observation that, the Q4 numbers, when we look at the mining revenues, you had mentioned that the H1 wasn't good, and as you can see, the Q1, Q2 realization were probably not as good, but Q4 realizations were really high, as can be seen in the presentation. Yet when we see at the mining margins, we had 52% margins in Q2 as well as Q4. So what we are trying to understand is, have we taken some one-off, or why similar margins despite higher realization in Q4?
No, I think the margins are better in Q4. Sachin, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah. The margins are similar, as you told us, 52%. I think small input cost has gone up, but more or less the cost of mining has remained same. Because as you know, the diesel price has gone up, but it is a marginal impact and small provision we have done, which is a very, very nominal number. So it's not affecting the margins.
So we should have expected some sort of margin increase, right, given the realization increase?
I would like to clarify this aspect of it. If you look at it, we are known to be one of the very few organizations where scientific mining is carried out, and also in a very, very proper manner that has been done. And the stripping ratio changes over a period of time, because this is a natural mineral that occurs in pockets in the case of manganese ore, and also in the case of small reefs in the iron ore. And we are a company where we have already surrendered the large areas of iron ore. So that is the reason we have to make a planning of our operations based on the realization that we have, so that we maintain the margins.
Right. That's helpful. That's it from my side. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you. We'll move to Mr. Sahil Sangvi. Please unmute and go ahead.
Sorry, my questions are answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to Mr. Abhay Lodha. Please unmute and go ahead.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, we are very glad to know that the company is considering the NSE listing. Simultaneously, one more request is there. Sir, split the equity, because since our price has gone to 2,000 rupees, and our equity is very small, so one option is there to increase the liquidity in the stock on the capital markets for the minority investors. Kindly split the equity to 1 rupee or 2 rupee, whatever the board decide in future time. So the NSE listing, it will increase the liquidity in the stock also, so we can easily invest in the stock, or mutual fund, the domestic institution. Anyone wants to invest the money in the script, the liquidity should be available to get them into the script and get out of the script, sir. This is our request, sir.
Yeah. We'll look at your suggestion and consider in the future.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. That's why.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Manoj Suha. Please unmute and go ahead, sir.
Congratulations on good set of results. What was the realization in the Q4 for iron ore?
The realization was 3,000 plus per ton.
3,000 plus. around 3,000 we can say, not 4,000 something. I don't know exactly the rates of iron ore. Just 3,000. Can we take 3,000 as the calculation for going forward as the price don't go down? This is the current rate also.
Yeah, current rate is slightly better, but yeah, around that was the average realization for us in Q4.
Okay. And if ferroalloys prices remain same as they were at Q4, so what would be the amount of revenue we can release from ferroalloys at the present capacity?
Present capacity, the revenues you can, I think, comfortably maybe plus 300 crores.
Okay, and we can take 20% or 25% EBITDA margin on this. What will be the EBITDA margin if the prices remain same?
Yeah, 20% I think can be assumed.
Okay, thank you and best of luck.
Yeah, if not better, but I'm just giving a conservative.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Bachraj Nahar. Please unmute and go ahead.
Yeah. Congratulations on good set of numbers. I have a few questions. First is that whether we have any possibility to put up the pellet plant, and I think pellet export from Karnataka is not restricted. So, and that can also help ultimately in your steel plant. So
yes.
That is my first question.
Yeah, currently we are examining that as we are looking for enhancing the iron ore production. So in due course, we will announce based on what we planned. So we are examining putting up a pellet plant.
Because
as of now, there is a restriction on export.
For pellet also? Because
yes.
KICL is exporting, so there should not be on pellet whether it is restricted or not.
No, actually, if at all a pellet manufacturer purchases the iron ore in the auction, then he can export. If it is the iron ore has not hit the e-auction, then they cannot export.
Okay. And the second question is that your coal tar plant, you might be getting from the coke oven the coal tar, and recently prices of coal tar has gone up. So what is it a significant revenue which we can get?
No. We don't get coal tar because our plant is a non-recovery type. So whatever gases we generate, which we use the sensible heat to produce the power out of it. So we don't have any byproduct. Power is our byproduct.
Okay, that another this plant, coke oven plant of Kirloskar Ferro, they are generating more gases, and they were explaining on the con call that they have some improved equipment or design so that they get the more gases, and from the same, I think 4 lakh tons, they generate more power. So are we in a position to examine that kind of situation that we can overcome without much investment?
See, we are examining that. At the moment, we are producing the best possible power that can be generated, but we are looking at it.
Okay. All the best, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Shubham Agarwal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you again for the follow-up. So my question is regarding the ferroalloy business. In March quarter, our average realization was around 61,000 as per the presentation. But what I want to understand is, given the silico-manganese prices have sustained over 90,000 since the last 4 months, what kind of realization can Sandur achieve in Q1?
Q1, it is good, I can say, and we have also optimized on our production, and we have produced at 90-95% utilization. So we can expect very good realizations.
Okay, and would you like to put any number to that?
As of now, I would not like to put that because in due course we will be letting you know, but we are yet to arrive at that.
Got it. Fair enough, sir. Thank you again.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Rahul Jain. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Rahul Jain here from Systematics. Sir, also on, just want to check on your Coke. So you just had 1 quarter of Coke earnings, and do you think for this financial year we will have a similar run rate what we had in the fourth quarter, or we can do better than that?
First quarter should be good, and second quarter also looks to be good. But then the coal prices are again shooting up, and they are more than $200. So there is some uncertainty with regard to the third and fourth quarter of this year. But then we don't know. The things change very dynamically. So we'll have to keep our fingers crossed and look at it during August, September and see how we perform. But we are trying to. Yeah.
Yes. Do we have a end-to-end tie-up in terms of locking the price, or do we take the price risk on ourselves?
No, we do somewhat longer term purchase instead of just in time or something like that. We try to purchase it for the next 4 months or 5 months requirement, so that we lock in that price and we are safe in case there is any volatility.
Right. And so in terms of your bigger plans, so is this going to be a blast furnace kind of an expansion, and have you identified the location and other things for this huge project which you plan to take?
See that currently we in the existing plant area we have land available, so we are trying to expand in the current available space. That is what we are looking at.
It's going to be a blast furnace kind of thing?
Most probably, but then we are yet to finalize on the technology.
Right. And so with the expansion on iron ore that we are doing, we are planning to take. So the number of 3.8 is the right number from 1.6. You plan to go?
Yeah, we have applied for the 3.85 million tons CC.
And once you get the approval, it will take what 6 months to 1 year to reach that number?
No, it will not take much time. It can be done fairly immediately.
Okay.
Once we get the approval. Yeah.
Thanks, very helpful.
We'll take the next follow-up question from Mr. Manoj Dua.
My question has been answered. Thank you.
Okay. We'll take the next follow-up question from Mr. Abhishek Maheshwari.
Hi, sir. This is Abhishek again from Skyridge Wealth Management. Sir, my question is regarding what you just said to the previous participant, that you are planning to expand your, forward integration into your, means your expansion is, the land is already available with you. I wanted to know the entirety of 1 million ton per annum steel capacity. You can put it in the land available, or you'll have to buy some more land for it?
That we are trying to ascertain that, but yeah, it looks likely. But we are not going for 1 million ton in the one phase itself. We are planning for the expansion in a phased manner. But we will keep the future next phases in our planning, and then plan the plant layout. So.
For the phase 2, you have enough land available. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Got it.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Arpit Ranka. Please state your organization and go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'm Arpit Ranka from Covil Investments. So early in the call you mentioned that you will possibly use a contractor MDO to go for a capex. So how does the economics of that work? Typically, how much do they charge, and what's the right way to think about that?
So regarding the earth moving equipment you're referring to?
Yes. So generally you use the term MDOs, right? Mine developer and operator, right?
Yeah, that is also a term used, but it's the earth moving equipment provider.
Okay.
So it is basically on tonnage basis, and they help in the excavation and also processing of the material produced.
So how does the economics work? How much do they charge typically, like 800 rupees a ton, 1000 a ton, 500 a ton? How does that work?
See that again depends because the nature of operations and the development required in the mines to take out the overburden and take out the ore. So we can't really attach a number to it. It keeps varying.
Okay, okay. Not even a broad range in like which is used in the industry to think through?
Yeah, I can only say that our expenditure amounts are on par or better than the industry.
Okay, okay. That is. Secondly, so the EC requires a public hearing to be done, and over the last year or so, conducting public hearing has been an issue for the industry as a whole. How do you see the situation evolve as things stand today? Any thoughts on that? And this is specific to us or industry as a whole, both.
Yeah, previously the public hearing was conducted for us. It was long back, and we have fought for that exemption. And looking at the current situation, that should not be a roadblock. We should be able to get through.
But public hearings are not allowed to be held as of now on the ground, or what's the situation?
It depends. Now the situation is better and things are opening up. So that should not be a problem.
Fair enough. Just one quick one. So what happened in March, which is the MDR Mining Act amendments, are being hailed as a historic event. Can you share your thoughts, because you've been involved in this industry for decades now? How do you see those amendments and good, the bad, the both? If you could just spend a few minutes highlighting, given the importance of that.
Yes, yes. I would like Salim to answer this question.
Definitely, the market feels and the industry also feels that the amendments are good, because some of the issues which were lingering over the years are getting addressed in this. Like, for example, if you look at it, the previous question was also there about the royalty. One of the mining lease which has expired and it was due for renewal was not considered by the state because the auction regime has already started. Then the view that was taken was the PSUs should be allowed to go for renewal. So there have been a couple of amendments that have been issued over a period of time to solve those issues and then make it a smooth transition, at least for the PSUs to continue the renewal process, or even some of the mining leases to be identified and reserved and provided to the PSUs without the auction process. But in the case of private entities, no such relaxation is being given, and it is open for auction for all the mining leases.
Okay, so if I've understood you correctly, you're saying that at least they seem to be helping more the public sector directly as of now, and private it continues as usual, basically, right?
Yeah, no, correct. Public sector, at least the smooth transition can take place. In the case of private, anyhow, the system has been put in place for the mining leases which are expiring should be put up for auction, so that it is a open offer available for anybody to bid and get into that. Because the benefit of higher auction price is the royalty that the government will get. So this is a better facility or a option for the government to generate more revenues.
Thanks a lot. That's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Chirag Mehta. Please unmute and state your organization and go ahead. Mr. Mehta. We'll move to Mr. Ayush Mittal. Please state your organization and go ahead.
Thanks for the follow-up. I'm Ayush Mittal from Mithya Analytics. Balaji, I just would like to hear your thoughts. Like one of the that we have seen in this industry is that when we have to put up a steel plant, it's a very large capex outlay that one has to do. So can you, though the plans are not finalized, but can you give some kind of ballpark number that we would need to spend on this steel plant, and by what time frame do we need to do? Is it like something that large part you want to do it from the internal accruals, or there's some mix in your mind to keep it healthy?
Yeah, with regard to the funding of it, yes, we would like to use the internal accruals to as much possible extent. because yes, the financials have been good. Looking forward, the projections are also good. So, but as of now, I cannot give you a finalized number because we are working, as I said earlier, we are looking at the end product and what is the product that we would like to get into the market. Because we being a new entrant in the market, we would like to have that safety or that comfort to us that we will be able to do well, and from there work back on the technology and the plant required to produce that.
Actually, the question comes from the side that when we do some searches, we get to see very wide numbers. Like 1 million steel plant can even cost $1 billion. While on the lower side, I don't know what the number would be. So I'm trying to get some idea around that number, because that we are doing today, is there any estimate that we have in mind to fund it?
Yeah, to generally give you some number, if, as you said, 1 million ton can cost $1 billion, but then we will not be going for 1 million ton in the first phase itself. It will be divided in maybe 2 phases or maybe 3 phases. With that will depend. And if it is divided in 2 phases, then it will be like maybe 0.4, 0.5 or 0.6 also. But then whatever hot metal that is produced, that will have to produce the end product. So that, but then what we are looking at is we should have a diversified portfolio of different products so that the risk is again diversified, and we have presence in different markets.
Okay, and like you said that it has,
and it can range anywhere between plus 1,000 to 2,000, 2,500 crores.
You're talking this number as the overall capex?
Not the overall capex, the phase capex.
Okay, so for 0.5 million ton, if we have to do, it can even be done in 2,000 crore kind of number.
Yeah, that is possible, but that again will depend on the end product.
What kind of product you want to make? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And second, like you mentioned that you want to do it from internal accrual. So is it right to assume that once we are able to scale up the iron ore output to the EC enhanced limit that we are looking at, that will be sufficient to generate maybe 300-400 crore kind of cash flows or PAT? Do this funding of the expansion?
Correct, that should be sufficient, but then we will have to look at the market factors because that keeps changing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, any update on this EC thing that has been pending? Any recent developments wherein there was a meeting to take a call on?
Yeah. Regarding EC, there is a positive development, and I think by the end of the calendar year, we should be able to get through that and enhance our MPAP.
Okay, great. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take the next follow-up question from Mr. Jitendra Anchalia. Please go ahead.
Yes, congrats for the excellent set of numbers. I don't have much questions. I got some suggestions, 3-4. 2 suggestions I am endorsing. One is for the NSE listing and another is for the split of shares. Another suggestion is that since the company is going for steel making, it should, keeping the logo, they should change the name of the company from ore and from manganese ore or something like that. It can be Sandhur Resources or something like that. And another thing is, just I am listening that you might be going for capital expenditure of 2,000 crores. And since the resources will not be that much, by diluting some shareholding, the management can have some private equity, because once the shares are split and once the market go for the proper valuation, the price of the shares can go up, and then you can rope in the private equity fund and buy some dilution and some say bond issue or some that way. That will be the better option instead of going for internal accrual and debt. Because recently there is one company in America, USA, they were simply making pellets, 19 million pellets. Their name was Cleveland Cliff. Their name was Cleveland Cliff Resources Limited, Natural Resources. They changed the name of the company, and immediately thereafter they acquired 2 large companies in USA, and they are transformed themselves from mining company to a steel company. They acquired ArcelorMittal manufacturing unit and one AK Steel. So the future is in steel, but you have to move fast and you have to rope in a private equity fund or something like that, because that's the way the people are ramping up their resources. So that's my suggestion, and any view by the management on this.
Yeah, thank you for your suggestions. As you said, we need to move faster and ensure we enter the right market at the right time. So we will consider various options looking at the requirement in due course of time.
Here another question, another just a small suggestion, because the way the things are happening in China, the China is simply I am of the view that China will simply scrap at least 200 million ton of their steel production, because they want that the world there should be scarcity of all the metals, whether it is steel, zinc, aluminum, so that all over the world there is a crisis. They are simply just they are saying that they are curtailing they are scrapping the production of the manufacturing plants only for environment angle, but it's just an eyewash because they don't have any environment. So the management should move very fast for steel. Steel has got a tremendous opportunity. After once the China is off the scene, people have to come to India because we have got iron ore, and you can go for, because the risk is there, but that's a calculated risk in the steel plant. That's the thing. Thanks.
Okay.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Sanjay Jain. Please state your organization. Go ahead.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Sanjay Jain here. So right now I'm a shareholder. I used to work as a metal analyst earlier on the street. So my question is regarding, there are two questions. One is that I want to understand the status of our mining lease. You did try to explain something, but I didn't really get where we are in, what stage we are in terms of expanding our capacity of iron ore mining from 1.6 to 3.5 million tons. So what are the milestone which are pending? And secondly, on your capex plan, so I really like the idea that you want to phase out your capex plan, and that's really the right way, because rather than putting in a huge capex on one go and then suddenly when the plant comes and then you are in a down cycle and the interest starts mounting on the balance sheet. So that really I like the idea. But you would have like. Are you trying to say that we'll first put up a iron ore beneficiation plant, pellet plant, and subsequently we'll put up blast furnace, and then we'll put caster, and then we'll put rolling mill? Is that the path that you are looking at in your mind, so that you can phase out your capex?
Yeah, answering your first question regarding enhancement of our iron ore production, we are in almost the final stages of getting the approval, and as I said, by this calendar year we should get it tentatively. Yeah, but at the same time, as I said, we have some challenges with the grades dropping. So we are looking at some kind of beneficiation facility and also evaluating putting up a pellet plant. And at the plant, in terms of forward integration, as I mentioned earlier, we are looking at the end product first, what we need to manufacture, which will do well in the market, and then work back on the plant required facility.
Okay, got it. But I'm just trying to understand why not we go ahead with the pellet plant right away? I mean, maybe this beneficiation can come, because setting up a pellet plant itself will take some time, maybe a year or more, and by the time you could have your mining leases expanded, or you would see significant still risk that you may not get that expansion, and it may not, if you don't get an expansion, it may not be worth putting up a pellet plant. So is that the way? Or I mean, putting up the steel plant is more to do with more supply of iron ore expansion. Is it contingent one another, or both are independent?
So See, both are integrated and independent, I can say, because some amount of the beneficiated ore will be required at the plant, and also that will give us different products in the market. So we are considering that, and in due course we will announce, and we are trying to ascertain the size of the plants and various things, which in due course we will do the announcement.
Because, I mean, sorry to harp on it, because see, you are in a state of Karnataka where you are restricted to sell your iron ore to the steel producer within the state or who have been sourcing historically iron ore from the state as per the Supreme Court order. So you, in a way, your pricing power is curtailed in a way. You are not able to realize full value of your ore. You would have realized otherwise. At the same time, the steel mills are able to buy iron ore from wherever they like, from within the state, from outside the state. And you know, some of your customers, the large customers, have been playing that game. They have been ensuring that there is no shortage. So wherever they see the market tightening, they import and, you know, to some extent erode your pricing power for your ore. Because so that's a game which is not very fair to the mining companies in my view. So if you are able to, you know, put up a pellet plant, then won't you be able to export pellets and then you get more pricing power and realize better value for the ore that you are producing?
Yeah, that's what I said. We are considering the option. So we will make the announcement in due course.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Hardik Jain.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I just wanted to know, as you said that we might get the EC approval by the end of this calendar year, and you also said that the grade of that ore, and we can enhance the capacity immediately, and the grade of the ore will be a little lower. But the beneficiation plant and the pellet capacity will take some time to come. So meanwhile, we'll sell the low grade ore in the market, right?
So that really depends. See, once we enhance the capacity, we have both the higher grades and the lower grades ore. So, and simultaneously, we will be planning other required capacities to enhance quality or add some value-added products. So we will try to align it in such a way that the maximum value is achieved.
Right. And my second question is, right now, what kind of royalty per ton we pay on the iron ore, and will the royalty be same for the enhanced capacity?
Yes, that will remain the same.
And what do we pay per ton today as a royalty?
15%.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take the next question from Mr. Prashant Shah. Please state your organization and go ahead.
Hello, I am Prashant Shah. I am long-term investor for your company. Just I wanted to know, can you give us guidance for FY22?
Sorry?
For FY22, can we assume that we'll be probably having revenue of 1,700 to 2,000 crores?
See, that is as of now difficult to tell, but then we can assume much better revenues, more than plus 1,200 plus 1,300 crores.
That's fine. Thank you very much, and many congratulations to you.
Thank you.
We'll take a last few follow-up questions. The next question is from Mr. Abhishek Maheshwari. Please unmute and go ahead.
Hi, sir. My questions were answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chirag Mehta, please unmute and go ahead.
Yeah, I am CA Chirag Mehta. I am an individual investor. Most of my questions relating to stock split, NSE listing bonus has been answered, because really worried as it is a thinly traded company. But I'm really glad that after so many years, I was looking for the investors presentation con call, and finally it happened. So my only request to the company is to keep continuing the same way. And there is a tailwind in the sector. So best of luck to the company as well. And lastly, congratulations on the stellar performance. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Sanjay Jain, please unmute and go ahead. Mr. Jain.
Sorry, I think my questions are answered. I don't know why this hand is raised.
Oh, thank you. I'll lower it. Mr. Bach Rajnar, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is again coming back. My question is basically that even after getting the additional capacity of mining to 3.8 million ton, and your mining is expiring by 33. So after 33, you will have to auction again the mine. So are you planning to apply for incremental so that, because by 33 you will be able to extract only about 50 million tons. You will be left over with 60 million tons of the reserve. So are you applying for additional capacity of mining or is there any consideration? And the second thing is that many speakers have raised this question of beneficiation. We have seen in the industry, whoever produced the best quality, they get very high premium. And you also said that you are getting 7,000-8,000 for the best quality. So beneficiation plant will not take much time, and you can use your reserve of fine, which you might be having. So this is my second suggestion. So again, though you have answered, but still consider it. And
with reference to the enhancement of production, it is not because the mining lease is expiring in 2033 that we are seeking enhancement. Our application for enhancement is under consideration for the last 10 years. For reasons beyond our control, including the suspension of operations, that application had been delayed and we are pursuing. And as MD mentioned, that we are at the last stages of it and we expect to get it before the end of this calendar year.
No, but my think is that even at enhanced capacity, you will not be able to exhaust. You will be left over with 60 million ton by 2033. So are we applying for substantial higher capacity? That is my question.
No mining lessee can exhaust the minerals because the Supreme Court itself has passed an order that it should be intergenerational equity. So there should be something left for the next batch of people also to do mining.
Okay. And about
we'll take the last question for the day from Mr. Satish Kumar. Please unmute and go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is Satish and I'm an individual investor. My question is, I think thanks for the con calls. And my question is, how are we going to, continue this con calls? Is it quarterly frequency or what is the outlook for that?
So we'll keep you posted in due time, and we'll definitely, take your suggestions, but it will be announced going forward.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks a lot. I believe all the questions have been answered. If there are still pending queries, you can write to me, Mr. Javakar, or Mr. Bijan. Our emails are provided at the end of the investor presentation. We would be more than happy to chat with you. Thanks a lot once again for joining in on the call and making it a success. Look forward to talking to you again. Mr. Bahirji or Mr. Salimji, would you like to give some closing remarks?
It was really good to interact with the investors and understand their queries and give them an understanding about the future and the current operations. We will try to maintain a good frequency of our interactions and also communicate on regular basis so that the complete understanding is there. And it was good. Yeah. Thank you for the conference call.
I would like to only add that we are happy to note that our thought process is synchronized and matching with the thought process and the suggestions that are coming from the shareholders. So since the wavelength is good, we hope to move forward quite progressively. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for joining, everyone. You may now disconnect your lines.